Hi friends! If you click to check out the newest addition to the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush family, her new Airbrush Bronzer, then please keep on watching. Hi, my name's Alicia. If it's your first time here, thank you so much for clicking on my video. And if you are returning, well, thank you for visiting me again. Kinky Sweat stands for my kinky hair and sweat life. I'm a fitness professional who loves things all movement and booty. If you want to check out what I do in between the makeups, you can head over to my Instagram. Timestamps will be down below because this video is going to be a lot. Product details, swatches with a ton of bronzers because I know you all love comparisons, as well as a demo not only of the 2 shades that I bought from the bronzer, also the Desert Haze. Desert Haze. Did I need to buy this quad? Absolutely not. I most definitely have all these shades somewhere in my collection, but as you know, I don't have these specifically from Char. That's why I bought it. I am on the Charlotte Tilbury website right now. Let's go over some product details. So as you just saw, this is the bronzer. This is a doozy of a bronzer. Now, when I initially saw this on the leaks, I have thought it was going to look like this. Her Airbrush pressed powder, by no means is it the same. Much bigger, but when you read it on the box, it says Airbrush Bronzer, a matte bronzing filter for face and body. That makes sense to have a big product compact so you could apply both on face and body. Other big compacts I thought of was the Marc Jacobs. So this is a quick size comparison. The Charlotte Tilbury is slightly smaller. The Marc Jacobs, we're at 25 grams and Char has 16 grams. So you actually do get more in the Marc Jacobs. The sun's coming and I gotta keep adjusting my exposure. A quick look at the Tom Ford. You get, let's see here, 15 grams. So slightly less in the Tom Ford. This is what the size looks like. The Tom Ford is a square compact, whereas Char is like an oval. You get 1 gram more product from the Charlotte. I purchased both medium and tan. This bronzer does come in 4 shades. Let's quickly talk about it. 4 shades clearly is not enough to hit all shades on the skin tone spectrum. This is the tan and this is the medium. It's a significant jump, I feel. And then you have deep, and I feel deep could have used 1 or 2 more after that shade presented. I think when I saw the Plastic Boys video, and I'll be more than happy to link his review down below, he had swatched the deep shade next to Hoola's, I believe, Toasted, as well as Fenty's Mocha Mami, which was supposed to be, I think, the deepest shade out of their bronzer line. The Miami Mami, I forgot. That Fenty shade turned out to be a lot more red than the Charlotte. So that was exciting to see because one of the critiques about the Fenty powder, the deepest one in the line, was that it was far too red and it didn't actually present itself as a bronzer, but more as a blush. The Charlotte bronzer is $55, but as you see, you get quite a bit of product, 16 grams. And it is mentioned here that the Airbrush bronzer refills, just the pan and not the actual compact, will be launching late summer. So you don't have to actually get the compact, which adds to the price. You could probably just get the pan, which will be significantly cheaper. Discover my new Airbrush Bronzer, a hyaluronic acid infused. We know Charlotte loves to add the skincare in there. Smoothing, pore blurring effect matte bronzer for the face and body. The shade is perfect for fair to medium skin tones, the medium shade, to create the appearance of a glowing golden goddess sun-kissed complexion. Okay, what makes it magic? Charlotte's new innovation, next generation bronzer uses new flawless technology inspired by the finest air smooth as silk pore blurring effects of the iconic Airbrush family. She is referring to the powder, which one of my faves and several others. I am nearly done. Well, not nearly. I hit pan, but we still have some to go. But the point is, it is a favorite for sure. Hydrating hyaluronic acid moisturizes so that skin appears softer and smoother in seconds. Smoothing silky mica treated with amino acids to impart a silky, smooth, long-lasting feel on the skin. Blurring, soft focusing silica adds a rich velvety texture and reflects the light for a soft focus effect. Microfine perfecting powders deliver an invisibly thin, silky filter on the skin to add depth of color and coverage. Magical microspheres for an increased payoff and an elegant silky texture. Covetable, collectible, sustainable with Airbrush bronzing refills coming soon, as we mentioned, late summer. And also there's some shade guides. Medium is suitable if you wear shades 5 cool to 8 warm. in the Airbrush, why am I leaning? In the Airbrush Flawless Foundation, 5 medium, 8.5 medium in Magic Foundation, and 5 to 9 in Light Wonder. Oh, that's for the medium. So if you go on the website and click on the shade, scroll down, you will be able to see all the details and the shades that are outlined for what bronzer shade would be best for you, depending on what shade you wear in any of her foundation offerings, whether it be the Airbrush, the Magic, or the Light Wonder. I could get away, I think, with both shades, and I swatched them already, and I definitely can. So we will check out both. To quickly scan the ingredients, the hyaluronic acid, out of, let me see here, 1, 2, 3. Hyaluronic acid is second to last out of 14 ingredients total. The first 5 listed here is talc, mica, methyl methacrylate cross polymer, dimethicone, nylon 12, and silica. Even though it's in here, I'm not too certain it's going to offer the same benefits as if you were to put an actual hyaluronic acid serum or toner or what have you on your skin directly. Could it have a nice influence on the texture? Absolutely. Oh, and look here, it is made in Italy. Now with the 4 bronzer shades, she is also releasing a bronzer brush, which I definitely did not get. Comes in that kabuki to go cap design. I did get the luxury palette in Desert Haze. This little sucker cost $53. Definitely didn't need to get this, but I was intrigued. This is the first quad I've seen from Charlotte that offers all matte shades. Usually, for instance, I have her Dreamgasm palette here. She will offer more satin textures. In terms of finish, they have a little more luminosity to them, and then she will include a pop shade that you could tap on to create that dazzle effect. Here we have the new Magical Matte Eyeshadow Palette of Nude, Peach, and Smoky Brown hues. Luxury Palette of Mattes in Desert Haze combines flattering peachy brown hues. You know I love my peachy browns. I just couldn't help myself. Creamy velvet matte textures for seductive supermodel summer eyes all year round. Okay. Blendable and buildable, universally flattering, color coded to make every eye color pop. Yes, a lot of her products that have multiple pans in one compact come with the guide per se. If I were to grab this again, on the back you have the prime, enhance, define, and smoke. So you know which one goes where on your eye anatomy, especially for a novice who is just dipping into these products for the first time. 4 grams total, assuming that's 1 gram product each. 18 months suggested shelf life for the eyeshadow palette, and my apologies. Oh, we get 24 months with the bronzer. That's good. I like that. Considering the size of that sucker, I would like to know I could spend a long time with it. This eyeshadow quad is also made in Italy. It is well known in the makeup community that you do not get much bang for your buck for a Charlotte quad. However, I bit the bullet this time because my curiosity overtook me. Once again, we'll see how it does. We'll do one combination on the one, the other on the other. I did not get that out. With all the details out of the way, let's now get into these bronzer swatches. But before we do, let's just roll back in history for a little bit. Now, initially, the 2 products that Charlotte came out with, I don't know when on the timeline she did, she came out with her Film Star Bronze and Glow. These are her face sculpt and highlight palettes. There were 2 offerings. The medium, which as you see, very limited in terms of who can get away with that shade, and the medium dark. And even the medium dark, very much limited. This is better than what the medium offered. Sure, it shows up a lot more on my skin tone, but I'm still in that medium realm of the skin tone spectrum in comparison to this shade. Now granted, these were not labeled as bronzers, these were labeled as sculpting powders, but significantly light even on me. So I understand this was an ideal shade if you were light fair. Maybe if you were fair, I could only assume, but this was very light. And sure, I could build it up on my skin, but I will have to build it up so much that it will start to turn muddy. So this actually was not an ideal shade for me. And this shade here from the medium dark could have doubled as a bronzer because it does have some warmth to it. And also wanted to quickly show the Lovegasm, the Glowgasm face palette. This is a gel type texture, totally different from the texture of the Airbrush Bronzer. So you see it's a lot lighter in texture. I think it's more of a foolproof formula. Anything gel to powder is more foolproof because you don't have as much product on the pickup. But I actually really like this shade and I love this palette. This was a favorite of mine at the time of its release. The Instant Look in a Palette Gorgeous Glowing Beauty that released during the holiday. Here is the bronzer shade. Definitely one of her warmer shades that she had to offer in her face palettes. So you can see still this is a little lighter than the Sculpt medium dark, but slightly more neutral than the one in Lovegasm. And here is Stone Rose Beauty, which has a little more, I would say this is a little more peachy. I don't know, let's see. It's a little lighter than Gorgeous Glowing, but I feel has a lot more than the previous face palettes. Those bronzer shades in the face palette were very cool toned, very cool toned. All right, now let's get into these bronzer shades. I have medium. This is very smooth texture indeed. I think it definitely feels like the Airbrush pressed powder. Let's see what it looks like here. I definitely could get away with this. This appears to be a lot more neutral than, I think this is Lovegasm, than Gorgeous Glowing, and even more so than Stone Rose. And now we have number 3. This is a huge shade jump. And again, I still feel, needed a shade between medium and tan. So as you can see, it looks like the medium dark is similar in tone. This might be a little more, this is more luminous, of course, what exists in the Sculpt Film Star Bronze and Glow. This is more true matte. Definitely darker than, obviously, the medium, the Stone Rose, Gorgeous Glowing, Lovegasm, most definitely medium film star. So that'll be interesting to see how they appear on the skin. Sometimes when you swatch a powder and when you actually apply it as it's supposed to be applied, it shows up very different. Okay, we got number 2 medium and number 3 tan from Charlotte. Marc Jacobs Tantastic appears to be a little more peachy. Marc Jacobs Tantalize, the warmest out of the 3 Marc Jacobs bronzer shades. The forever popular Marc Jacobs Tantastic, the most neutral out of the 3. Tom Ford's Bronze Age, a little more red toned. Tom Ford's Gold Dust, a little more warmth here and a little more pigmentation as well. It's a different formula than Bronze Age. Tom Ford Terra, definitely more neutral than those 2. Kosas in medium, a lot warmer I feel. A little warmer than medium, but definitely not as pigmented or rich as tan. Natasha Denona Tan Bronze and Glow, definitely I feel more tawny. Yeah, a little more tawny than the tan for sure. Chantecaille Real Bronze in Goa, I suspect will be a little more red. Kind of the same as Natasha, a little more tawny. This is a little more warm. Chantecaille Real Bronze in Sirena. This is a little more golden. And also I feel falls between medium and tan from the Charlotte. We got Fenty Island Ting, more golden neutral I feel. Little more punch than medium. Fenty Beijing Gal, I think this is gonna be a little more red. Yeah, this sits between, I feel, medium and tan. Bobbi Brown Summer Duo medium, I think this is a little tawny. Yeah, for sure. This is like a little more tawny, kind of like the Natasha, nothing like the Charlotte. Awkward swatch with the Benefit Hoola Caramel. This is like my yellow tone bronzer. Absolutely. Dare I say, it reminds me, kind of reminds me of like a yellow version of the tan, but I feel still vastly different from the Charlotte offerings. I'm running out of space, but I wanted to dive into the Jouer Medium to Deep Duo in Sunset. I'm gonna do it up here. This is Sunset. That's a totally different shade than the Charlotte. It's kind of more neutral. and you see the luminosity to it. This has a little more radiance to the formula, I think because there's crushed mica in there. And lastly, I wanted to show the Alamar Cosmetics. I think I'll compare the medium. Let's see, this is the medium shade. A little more peachiness than the Charlotte medium. And here is the deeper shade. Definitely more brown than warm from Charlotte's tan. All right, these are all the bronzers that I have in my, well, not all in my collection, but in my immediate reach for rotation. I think these are all shades that obviously work for me. I have my favorites. I like to combine things. We didn't even get to the cream bronzer. Now I understand there are different textures altogether, but interesting just to kind of see. This is Macchiato from Fenty, where these powders sit in terms of the creams. We got Teddy from Fenty. We got Honey Glaze, Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate Intensity 1 and Intensity 2. Here's the Charlotte medium shade. Still lighter than Macchiato from Fenty. I'm gonna swatch it again a little closer. So that actually will look maybe nice on top of Macchiato, because Macchiato, all the Fenty cream bronzers sheer out quite nicely, and I think layering the medium shade over Macchiato will be like a nice enhancer. And here is the tan shade. Ooh, it could match up very well with Teddy or even Honey Glaze. I think dead on to Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate in Intensity 1. So we got some nice potential combinations here. Let's quickly go into the shadow palette. Since we're already here with the swatches, I have some space on this arm. We have Prime Shade. Here's to be a cream beige. Oh, that's nice. Next up, we have this very warm terracotta shade. Oh, these feel amazing. Next up, we have the Smoke Shade. Appears to be a neutral brown. And lastly, we have our Enhance. I think this is the peachy brown. Yep. Looks like it. All right, so here is Desert Haze. Here are, of course, again, all... This is too funny. And if you wanted to buy these items, I believe only currently available at the moment, at the time of filming this video, on charlottetilbury.com. And they also have different bundles. They love to do bundles on the site. You could get the bronzer with the eyeshadow palette, or the bronzer with a Pillow Talk Gasm stick. And also, depending on how much you spend, you could get really great samples. And if you have a ShopRunner account like I do, you could get 2-day shipping for free. Okay, with all that out the way, let me clean these arms and get some makeup on my face. And with that said, why don't you come in a little closer? That's enough. I don't have all Charlotte Tilbury complexion products. I do love the Hollywood Flawless Filter. With that said, placing some on the back of my hand, and this is in 510. Mixing that with the Giorgio Armani Neo Nude Natural Glow, yes, foundation in 8. Gonna mix that all together. I also wanted to, hold on. Oh no, oh no. So much. I also wanted to put on some of my Tom Ford stick because I wanted a little more coverage. This is in the shade 720. Then we'll pop on our concoction right on top. Taking my BK Beauty 105 large buffer. Press that onto the skin. Oh, I wanted to try my Bobbi Brown again. I keep forgetting I wanted to try this brush. This is from their summer collection that I believe is synthetic. It feels synthetic. Some under the eye action. I don't want to go too nuts because this is all about the bronzer. I will though, however, just a little tiny something under the eyes, you know, so I don't feel left out. Of course, all my concealers are down here. You know what? Let me go in with the Armani Luminous Silk Concealer. I actually have a video coming up swatching this with my other concealers that just had to be put on standby because the Charlotte came in. You know how it goes, friends. I have that in the shade 6, and I thought it was a rather lovely texture as a very light, no makeup day type of a product. Didn't overwhelm the complexion in terms of coverage, and I felt meshed very well with the Armani Neo Nude. Taking my Airbrush Flawless Press Powder, Masonergy Inochige Pro. I want to experiment, however, with how well this bronzer could be applied on not set skin. But I don't want to wait because this texture needs a little time to dry down. I could lightly set it. Let's put on some brows and let's see how it feels then. Definitely want to pat down these brows because they're feeling a little slick. Brows are on. Do I want to set? I feel like I want to see this in action on unset skin, but I know that, but I realize that the Neo Nude is a little more cushiony than another foundation I might use. You know what, let's just lightly set with the airbrush. It won't hurt because I would set anyway, technically speaking. Taking my Tuckahoe Z9, gonna lightly whip that all over, and this is in the shade medium. And again, not so much that I want to appear matte, but again, this powder is very popular because although a powder, it doesn't look heavy or dry on the skin, and an ideal formula for drier skin types who want to set their foundation but don't want to appear dull in their complexion. This is a first impression, friends. This package came in today and I sprayed it with alcohol and I washed everything. That said, let's start with medium. Ooh, what brush I want to use? I could use like a goat hairbrush. This is my REPHR number 5. I'm going to start off light. I'm going to go in my Tuckahoe Z9 again. I like the size of this brush. The Z1 is more barrel shaped, a little more bristle. Let's start off with something a little more feather light. All right, I'm going to take some on. Big mirror. So if anything, this is nice on the go. That's nice. I really like the color. It's very lightweight. It does add some glow, and the actual texture of the powder is just like the airbrush press powder. Very light and finish, not heavy on the skin at all. Let's take now a goat hairbrush. The Z9 is made up of blue squirrel, and blue squirrel bristles will pick up less product than goat hair will. Grammar. So I'm going to put a little more right into the hollows of the cheeks so you can see the color a little better. And I would recommend that you do that if you are around my skin tone and you want medium to work. Using a more dense brush will definitely pick up more product. But it's good to know. Let me pull you in a little closer and get this exposure down. You're going the wrong way again. Despite the layering, the skin looks smooth. It doesn't look heavy. It doesn't look cakey at all. It doesn't look like I put on 10 layers of bronzer, although I did. So I really love that. I love the color too. It's not too warm and not too neutral, but even though still neutral, it doesn't look dull on my skin tone, and it actually gives a really nice sun-kissed effect. Now again, if you're around my skin tone and you want to be more conservative with your bronzer shade, yes, I would highly recommend medium, but the tan is a large jump. So let's see where we sit with that. Definitely going in with my Z9 because I don't want to pick up as much product. Let's see what we got here. Oh boy, that's definitely a lot more punch from the get. Don't mind me as I try to whisk that down. Taking my Z1 with no product and buffing that tan down. All right, well, you can clearly see what a large jump it is from medium 2 to tan 3. I could do tan 3. Obviously, I will have to use a much lighter hand and maybe a smaller brush. The squirrel hair is a great pairing for this type of a shade because it won't pick up as much, because if I were to apply tan with my goat hairbrush, I think it would have been way too deep on my skin. And not that I don't like deep colors, but if it's too overwhelming, it clearly does not look natural. It clearly looks like I'm trying to look bronze, and I want something more subtle in this respect. I could do this, but I might have to use a smaller brush next time. I'm actually taking the brush that I use to blend out my foundation and just buff the lower edges of that bronzer application, because it went a little low. But for the most part, I really like the shade of the tan. It is warm. And as I'm looking at myself, not on camera, but in the mirror, because it's going to be a lot different, I feel, if you were to see me in person. Even though it appears warm on camera, I don't think it appears orange, but I like warmer bronzers. I think they do better on my skin in terms of emulating that sun-kissed glow, so I don't mind that undertone. But if you want something more neutral and you're thinking about the tan, I don't know if you will like the tan, but you might like the medium. So again, if you're around my skin tone or lighter, medium will work, especially if you're dead on my skin match. You want to be more conservative with your bronzer application and your bronzer shade. Medium again will work out. If you're me or a few shades deeper, tan I think could work. I think tan could even work on Chelsea from Glam Girl Chelsea, and she's NC44. I'm like, I said NC42, but I think I'm like NC40. Actually, I feel this will show up on her, I think. And then Jordine over at This Is Black Beauty, she's NC50. I'm not sure if she got the deep one. It'll be really great to see what that looks like on her complexion. And Kelsey, our girl, Kelsey Brianna J, she got both medium and tan. I think the medium will look a little light on her. I think it will still show up, but this I feel she would much prefer because it will actually show up as a bronzer. I knew I was gonna like the Charlotte products. I'm a huge fan of her airbrush pressed powder, and if it was going to be a similar formula but a bronzer, I mean, the application I knew would be flawless. Absolutely. It was a breeze to apply, very smooth on the skin. All that magical airbrush blurring, sure, I think my skin looks blurred. It probably helped that I put on foundation first, but I also think it is very easy to apply, especially for a novice who is not great at applying bronzer. They felt they always had a really tough time. This formula is very smooth, I have to say. Very, very smooth. Upon feeling it for the first time, I mean, it just melts into the skin beautifully. So you could layer this as you like. You could use any brush with it. I like to use natural hair brushes with powder application, but you most certainly can be successful with the synthetic brush application, especially because this formula is very smooth. All right, now it's time to get into these eyeshadows using my Hourglass Veil Eye Primer, which I have been really liking, fam. I'm not gonna do a really intense block out of the brows. I just wanna put on enough to cover the lid and to offset any discoloration. But because we are doing some eyeshadow now, you know what that means. That's enough. Desert Haze. What shall we start with first? I want to see how this looks like as a transition shade. Ooh, we got a lot of kickback in the pan. I'm not sure if you see that, but be careful with how you tap your brush into these powders. We got my REPHR number 16. Oh, so we got a little color there. You know, a little something there. So this would be nice as a standalone shade just to kind of wear by itself, whether through the crease like we just applied or even on the lid. Let's tap in a little bit of Enhance. Ooh, I like this shade. Yes. These are very smooth. Wow. I like how these are blending. I love the tone. Cleaning this up a little bit here. Prime shade on the lower lash line. Enhance shade also lower lash line. Cleaning up here to make that a little smoother. Now with this shade, Tuckahoe B142. So this is definitely more terracotta out of all of them. These are really nice mattes. I gotta say, I gotta give it a shot for the mattes. Cause she doesn't really do mattes. She does the skin-like type of a finish in terms of eyeshadow textures found in her quads and even in her Icon palette. No, that's not true. I'm a liar. She has mattes in her Instant Look in a Palette 12 pan designs. So these, I feel, are very consistent with that formula. You're like, Alicia, what are you talking about? I was thinking about her quads, but she does have her mattes in the Instant Look palettes, or Eyes to Hypnotize and Eyes to Mesmerize and all the eyes. I really like that matte formula. I think it's very easy to use, and I think the mattes found in this quad very much like the ones found in the 12 pans. We do got a lot of kickback though, so just be careful again with how you punch that brush in. This is a nice color. I'm making a mess. Let's go in with smoke. Same Hakuhoro B142, but tapping that on the outer V. I'm gonna create a little smokish smoke. Oh, that was the define. That's the enhanced shade. Sorry. The smoke shade. I want to do the prime shade on the lid this time. Sony G, Builder Pro. Just right there on the lid. I'm just actually gonna, let's apply more of the, no, this is the define shade. This is the smoke shade. I'm applying more of the smoke on our first eye. Let's apply some mascara. Definitely want to add a little bit of blush. With that said, I want to go in with the Pillow Talk Intense just over the bronzer. And also I want to see how it looks. Tap that on. Yes. I'm not going to put on highlight because I love the matte look right now. But we got to put on some lips though. Going in with my Bobbi Brown Crush Oil Infused Gloss in Sun Kissed. And here is a finished look. I love this quad. But I wanted to show you the Pillow Talk instant look because I think there are some shades in here that remind me of what exists in Desert Haze. Like for instance, I think this is the deepest brown out of the ones that exist in the, whatchamacallit, these palettes. This is from 2017, the Stars in Your Eyes. For instance, this looks similar to what exists in Desert Haze. So if you wanted to quickly see what this trio looks like, I think Desert Haze has a little more, for instance, whoa, this shade I feel is more orange, and this definitely packs more punch. This is a little more neutral brown. These actually swatch better, I think, the ones in the 12 pans, although they apply similarly. And I was thinking about that as I was blending. The mattes found in the 12 pans are very smooth. Let's quickly go into the Pillow Talk. So this is one of the dark brown shades, which looks a little more red in tone. This is like a peachy brown. And again, more peachy neutral than the one found in Desert Haze. But what if we did this shade instead? See what that looks like. They're very similar, although I do think this one from Desert Haze is a little more brown in hue. So all in all, if you have Pillow Talk, I feel you could definitely achieve a very similar look, whether it be with the Date Trio or even with the Desk Trio. It's not gonna be completely the same, but these hues I feel exist in some way in the Pillow Talk palette. If you don't like mattes at all and you much prefer her more shimmery dazzle razzle shades, like this is all her Topper Pop shades, I could definitely just take one of those. If I wanted a little more something, I could place that on the inner corner, like right on top, and it gives it a nice sheen. Or right here on the inner part of the eye. I mean, that's like pink completely. Oops. All right, fam, that's all I got for you. Hopefully this video was helpful in you deciding if you needed this in your collection or not. I am a bronzer hussy, as I like to call myself. As my girl Monique from Mo Makeup More Beauty says, you just need a bronzer for every part of your mood. And I agree with that. I will say though, we need more shades. We need one between medium and tan, and we need one or two after deep, just so you could address the warmer undertones for the deeper side of the spectrum and the more neutral undertones. Definitely better than her Film Star duos. I think people really like the matte formula, but this is matte without looking flat, right? It's very skin-like in finish, very easy to apply. You saw how beautifully easy it is to blend, and I think the formula is outstanding. The formula is outstanding. The shade range definitely can be better. I could wear both. I'm happy I bought both. I could maybe put a little bit of the tan over the medium if you want to see that in action, but because I learned my lesson, I think I'm going to use my Tuckahoe F04 and just carefully tap it right where I need it to go. Since this is a smaller brush, it's going to be a little more precise in its application. And yeah, so good to know that the medium could be like a quick all over bronze, and then the tan is like that more intense sun-kissed look. I definitely love both shades. I'm happy I bought both. And also, if you were deciding between the two and you just could not for the life of you figure out which one you should get, These are $55 each, and to buy both is very expensive, and I know I am in a unique position where I'm reviewing, but I will happily use both. I will also use them interchangeably with my other bronzers that I love, and I'm really excited to see how these shades kind of harmonize with the others in my collection, if they will turn them more tawny, more warm, more golden, more peachy. And I love the Desert Days quad. I really do. This is like a quick go-to summer eye palette, absolutely. And I dig all matte eyes, as you know. I think they're really just soft, sophisticated, and these shades just melt beautifully well with the bronzer shades in the collection. Did I need the Desert Haze palette? Absolutely not. As you saw, you got the Pillow Talk. If you have any palette that has a beige, a dark brown, an orange terracotta, and a peachy brown, you can definitely achieve this look. I just got a little bit of FOMO, so don't mind me. And with that said, friends, let me know what you think down below. If you're picking up the Charlotte Tilbury Bronzers or Desert Haze eyeshadow palette, if you already have the products, what you think of them, your thoughts down below. And until then, fam, that is a wrap. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this video helped, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing to my channel. And until then, I'll see you in here again with another review, tutorial, bronzer extravaganza. Get ready with me or nightly live chit chats. Take care, and I will see you again soon.